If you're building your ABA company and you're tired of guessing, this is for you. We built the EBCBA blueprint to give you real structure, systems, and support without the fluff. Details are in the description. Welcome, everyone. If you have any questions, comments, drop them in the chat. We are here today with Reese Epstein, who has come on multiple times. He's always happy to share his knowledge and his expertise in the area of marketing, specifically for ABA companies. So Reese is an ABA entrepreneur. He's also calling us internationally from Israel. So thank you for all the expertise and the global wisdom that comes from doing these live streams with you, Reese. Today, we're going to talk about mastering Meta and Google, and we're really going to talk about the mistakes that get made on the ad side of those paid ads. So, Reese, welcome again. Thank you, sir. Take it away.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Derek, for that kind introduction. It's always great to be able to come on and share some wisdom, and I hope that people get a lot of value out of it. Silence this phone here so it's not ringing. Yeah, so Google and Meta ads are really each in their own right profession. You could be someone whose sole job is you manage Facebook ads or you manage Google ads. And there are many different variations or levels of talent and experience a person can have. And these are the platforms that fund Google, that fund Meta. So when you think about Google as this company worth however hundreds of billions of dollars, the primary driver is Google ads. And for Meta, the primary driver is Meta ads. So you get a sense of the scale of what these platforms really are. They are tremendous. Both platforms can be used in a great variety of ways. There are different kinds of ads on each platform. There are different ways to target your ads. And there are going to be, for any given industry, probably more ways to do it wrong than right. And that's what's important to know for whatever we do ABA. So we're conducting ABA, but really for any type of business, there are going to be more ways to do it wrong than right. So it's very important to know clearly ahead of time what the plan is, what your strategy is, how much money you are expecting to be investing for what kind of likely result, to understand what the risks are, what the opportunities are, and to make good decisions. So we'll be able to open up these topics a little bit together and give people some great value.
So I think we should start with the Meta. That seems to be kind of the focal point for a lot of the new ABA companies that maybe don't have a lot of money to invest in a website. They don't want to dump a bunch of money into making sure that conversion is optimized, but they may be able to afford, a few $100s to make sure that they're getting their name out there and driving people to even a Facebook page. So for the starters, for the people that are learning, what's a good path for them to kind of follow, or should they have a website built ready to convert and drive all that traffic there? How do you dip your toes into that water safely without making the big mistakes?
So I'm of the opinion that Facebook ads and Google ads, both platforms, are really only practical to approach if you really can put some significant funding in. Both Google and Facebook offer some sort of starter ways of getting your feet wet. You could think of them as like starter drugs. So with Facebook, what that would look like is you start your Facebook business page, which of course is free to do, and everyone should do that. And you post something, and Facebook suggests you boost your post for $5. Now you can boost your post for $5. You probably won't get any clients from that. You might get a few likes. But the math of it does definitely require some investment. But if you want, we can explore that a little bit, sort of how the math works, how you figure out what it will take to get something done. But I think one of the disappointments for a lot of people is there's this concept floating around out there that you sort of just have a Facebook page and you can start posting to it. And then people will come and do business with you. That might work for a very small percentage of AB practices, and maybe have really great content, or maybe they're in an area where there's no competition anyway. There could be particular scenarios where that works out. I've been doing marketing for AV companies since 2018. So that's 7 years. I haven't really met anyone who has been able to consistently get clients through means like that. I have seen for sure that posting to your page is a nice way just to have activity there and it can look nice. And it might help you to add some depth to your brand by giving people authentic insights into who you are, which works better if you're at the center because then you can have those the center, right? Or you have all your team in the uniforms out front of the center. Like, that's nice. It doesn't work as well if you're in home visually. So unfortunately, I don't think there's a great way to make Facebook work on a budget of a few $100s. I think if that's where a business is, it has to focus on the basics of making sure you have the best website you can get together, making sure you have some basic SEO optimization, which you can just sort of figure out on your own, or I have a blog post on my website about that. Make sure you have your Google business profile verified, and Derek, you help a lot of people with that. So I think those are the basics to start online. But once you want to get into a rhythm of, let's say you want to have 3 or 4 clients a month from the internet. So we have to work backwards with the math from getting the enrollment to having conversations with people, some of whom will become your clients and some of whom won't. Going back to before there's a conversation, which is getting people to consider having a conversation, which then gets you into a discussion of traffic and so forth. So when you get a referral, maybe from a pediatrician, or you have a client and they recommend somebody else, you have a pretty good shot of getting that person to enroll because they're a referral and they're coming from a trusted source who believes in your business. When you have someone from online, the close rate percentage tends to drop. In fact, for Facebook ads, I would say a normal range is between 4 and 9% of people coming off of contacting you actually becoming a client. So if we work with that number, let's make it really easy. Let's say 5%. So if I want to have 4 clients and 5% of the people I talk to or interact with will become clients, then 20 times 4 is 80, what I will call leads, to make that happen. Why? Why would it take 80 people to get down to 4 when you have 80 leads off of Facebook? So I'm talking before conversations. So but even before you get to a conversation, let's say people filling out a form, which is our favorite way to get leads on Facebook. So of those people, you're going to have, depending on where you are, between, let's say, 20 and 40% that you can't actually contact. So they're sort of like dead leads. Okay, so now we have a smaller piece of the slice of the pie left. We have between 60 and 80% of your people left. Of those people who you are able to get on the phone, some of them, because it was Facebook, and Facebook's great for getting clients, but it gets you some funny people too. Some of them just don't know why you're calling. Like you reach them, they're like, I never filled out that form. That happens with Facebook. Because people, I don't know exactly, it's a mystery to us, but it is something that happens consistently. Maybe people just aren't paying attention and they fill out things. I don't know. Okay, so you have the people who
Autofill is a killer. Like the Facebook autofill thing, people will make 2 wrong clicks and fill out a form.
True. The flip side is it's a funny thing because like we're thinking of our clients as like these super motivated people. Sometimes you get a client who really is that lazy that if it wasn't autofilled, they wouldn't have submitted. There is such a thing. It can happen. So you can make decisions consciously to slow people down. You could put barriers to filling. You could do that, or you should just suffer through the phone calls.
A little bit of friction is sometimes good, yeah.
A little bit of friction sometimes it's good, but there are other dynamics as well, which is a whole nother topic in this. But sometimes it is important just to get as many conversions as you can for other reasons. So there's multiple agendas at play. There's your sales perspective. I don't want to talk with people who don't know why I'm calling them. And then there's your ads perspective. I'm trying to accomplish certain things with the algorithm, and it actually can help that get extra leads who aren't the best, interestingly enough. Okay, so you put them aside. So let's say you've got between 50 and 70% of your people left who answer the phone and know why you're calling and are happy with the fact that you're calling. Okay, that's great. Of those, many won't have a diagnosis yet. Some may have an insurance plan you don't accept. Others may have a child who's too old. And we'll hopefully get into this too, but if you haven't set up your ads correctly, there's a high likelihood that they're not actually in the area you targeted in your Facebook ads map. This is a very important thing. It used to be fairly, let's say 95% reliable with Facebook that when you chose your map, people were pretty much from that place. Now the default settings have ruined that. So if you leave the default settings in place, you're gonna get people from 3 states over. This is just insane and it drives people crazy. You can fix that, but you have to know not to use what's called Advantage Plus targeting. That's another topic. Okay, so you get to you want people who have an insurance to take, have a diagnosis, have a child of the right age, and are in your location. Then there's availability, of course. So by the time you're done with all of that, yeah, like some people, like you can end up with, let's say you had 80 leads, maybe you have 4 clients. Now, that's not bad from a money perspective because at least how we do things. So you might have spent $2,500 or $3,000 on your ads to get 4 cases, but a case could be worth $50,000 or $100,000 revenue per year. So the math works great in terms of revenue, but we have to plan it right because what's going to happen if you take a $300 budget and you put it through the same system, you might get between 5 and 10 leads. So you'll get on average half a client a month. And maybe for some people that's fine actually, but usually people want more than that. And because of randomness, if you have such tight numbers, my first year randomness will be long stretches with nobody and then some stretches with a lot of people. So it's not going to be a smooth experience. Plus, you won't have what you need to test budget effectively. So I don't look at Facebook ads as an option that's cheap for the average startup business. It's more so that's people are looking at as an investment. Like, okay, I want to get 10 clients. I think it's that 10 clients will net me $500,000 to $1 million in revenue in the coming year. It probably is going to cost me, let's say it's going to cost me 10K to do it. Okay, that's the math we're working with. And that's the nature of the game. So that's how I look at Facebook. And Google is very similar. There's the dynamics, the details are different, the dynamics are a little different, but it is similar as well. Derek, I see you have a whiteboard going on over there. You're on mute, Derek.
I think I clicked the mute button when I did it. So yeah, so I just wanted to visualize kind of what Reese is talking about here is our sales funnel. And I know that might be a bad word to some people because they're watching videos on YouTube and there's a bunch of bro marketing people that are talking about your sales funnel. But this is essentially what Reese is describing is it's important to understand that your cost per click for all of this is for what's going into the top of this funnel. And that each of these stages, we're going to lose some. And so let's go back through the factors. We were talking about geographical, what their status is, what their diagnosis. So when somebody clicks on one of your paid ads, this is where it's going to drive them into is at the top of this funnel. So you might need at the top here contact info. And if that's wrong, you're not going to be able to reach those people. And then the next,
I'm just seeing a blank screen. Are you already drawing on the whiteboard?
Yeah, I should be. Hold on.
I'm not sure if the audience is seeing a blank screen as well.
Are you able to see it, Josh?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh yeah, okay. It was just my screen.
I wonder why Reese can't see it because Reese can't see it.
Yeah,
Other people probably can't see it either.
Yeah, I can't see it. I see it. It says whiteboarding in progress. And then there's a note. It says this organization only allows members to participate.
Oh, well, that's stupid.
Well, Derek, are you sharing the whiteboard or are you sharing
I'm
like your
sharing the
screen?
whiteboard. Let me see if I can share my screen.
Yeah, it might be easier to just share the screen instead.
Yeah,
It's
'cause I
probably
think
those
think it's-
security measures we have in place or something.
probably
Sure.
those damn security measures.
that you guys specialize in.
All right. Can you see my
Yes,
Windows
see the
desktop
screen.
now? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I think it would be think it would be a good time to whip out the whiteboard here because I want to take what Reese is really describing and kind of lay it out visually. Are you able to see this okay, Reese, now?
Yeah, I can see it fine.
All right, so we've got our funnel. And for those of you who have maybe seen some of the bro marketing videos on YouTube or Facebook or anything talking about your sales funnel, this is what they're talking about. And the reason the funnel gets smaller as it moves down is because you're going to have less and less people through each stage of your qualification. So if you're not losing some of your leads at each one of these stages, then your stages and your marketing at each stage isn't really doing its job. So really what we're talking about here at the very top are these kinds of marketing tactics like paid ads, right? So if you have paid ads, they're going to be going into the top of your funnel. And each one of these, you're going to be paying for. So every time somebody clicks, they're paying. So at each one of these, we were talking about a 4% at bottom of funnel. And that doesn't sound...
Between 4 and 9% is a normal range if you have good marketing automation in place and a good sales process.
All right. So 4 to 9% are what's going to end up at the bottom of your funnel typically after they've gone through every stage. And if it's set up right, you'll be closer to 9 than you are to 4. And if it's set up completely wrong, you'll be closer to 0 or maybe at 0. So, and this is what Reese is really talking about, where if you don't invest enough money to get them into this top of funnel here, by the time you get down to the end, you're going to end up with a very small percentage of a very small amount of money, which is often going to leave you at 0. So you need to get your sample size up enough, you get your impressions up enough where enough people are seeing it, and those are your impressions. Enough people are clicking it, that's your click-through rate, and that click-through rate puts them into the top of the funnel. Now, there are people in this top part who maybe, like we talked about, like the autofill just fills it in for them. So they're not even needing ABA therapy services. They're just getting their information for no reason, or maybe contact info is wrong, or maybe they're out of the area, right? So all those geographical things. So this is really kind of where you're qualifying your lead, right? So those are people who are clicking on it, and you guys are going to love my handwriting. I'm trying to get better at the whiteboard, but the handwriting is never going to be cured, I don't think. So I'm working with my daughter's in kindergarten. She has better handwriting than I do at 42. So at least we're going to end that in the family tree. We're going to have good handwriting from here on out. All right. So we're qualifying the lead in that first stage, and there's a good percentage of them that are going to go away. And the example that Reese just gave is, what'd you say, about half of them are going to be gone here at this stage.
So between 20 and 40% is a normal number to lose just by virtue of their never having been so real in the first place, which is, now there is some consolation, which is that this is something that most people don't know, but on meta ads, you're paying for ad impressions. And we express things in cost per lead and cost per click, and those are important metrics. But whereas in Google ads, you're in an auction for a click. On Meta, it's more you're in an auction for impressions per 1,000 impressions. So let's say you have 1,000 ads shown. Your ads are shown 1,000 times. It's 1,000 impressions. Maybe one person from that $30 you spent or $20 you spent is a good lead. Maybe another person from that same $30 you spent is not a good lead. And they just, now, what did they cost you? A few cents. Whatever it costs for that one ad impression of 1,000 that you got billed for. So that's some consolation. Whereas in Google, it's more like, yeah, I actually paid $20 for that. But yeah, so about 20 to 40% of people off of Facebook are likely to just have filled it out of mere curiosity or just been flipping through things with autofill, not really real. So that's off the top. And from there, now you have conversations. And it becomes all the qualifying factors, having a kid with a diagnosis and the age range and the area with an insurance you take, with an interest in services, or at least the openness to it that you can convince them with a good sales call. And so, yeah, that funnel does narrow. And so that's when I talk with clients about Facebook ads, we're thinking, okay, whatever number of clients you're looking for, let's divide it by 4%. That's how many people I need at the top of the funnel. Based on that, I can figure out the budget because I know what the ranges are for cost, at least with how we do things. Now, the cost for client acquisition ends up being pretty good for most companies, but with any marketing channel, any marketing person, about 1,000, and no channel is perfect for everybody. So some people are better off somewhere else with like Google or at Google Ads or SEO. But Facebook is a winner, I'd say, for most of our clients. By most, I mean we're talking 85, 90%. So it really does work well for most people. There are pitfalls, there are risks, there are caveats. There are things you have to be prepared for, and you have to sort of know your numbers and what to expect.
So on one of our last live streams with you, Reese, we kind of went through like what you're, making sure that you have a good conversion rate during your intake process, because this is all part of one funnel, and you want to make sure that you're not just focusing on one end or the other. And how do we make sure that our sales to intake process, right, going from this stage here at sales down to intake, when we get on the phone with them and we're having a conversation with them, we're differentiating our services from other services, what your other options in the area are. Getting good at that is going to reduce this percentage that's over here. It's going to reduce that. You're going to be able to bring more people in, right? You're going to do some further qualification on those calls. You're going to do a little bit better of a job than your automated systems are on your pay-per-click or your impression ad campaigns, because you're actually having that interpersonal interaction. So that's good.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
A slight change in the top of funnel conversion, and this is conversion. When we're talking about conversion, it's moving them from one stage of the funnel to the next. So that qualifying stage, going to the sales stage, making sure that you're keeping that percentage as high as possible. This is really having to do with making sure that what's going into the top of your funnel are as close to your ideal client profile as possible, your ICP, and making sure that you're designing your ads, that you're designing from the colors to the wording that's in them, to narrowing out the geographical location, the type of demographic that you're marketing to, making sure that those people are the ones that are going into the top of your funnel at the highest rate. That way, by the time they hit sales, you have less people overall, but you have more qualified people that are showing up there. So when Reese is using this example down here at the bottom, this 4 to 9%, that is highly dependent on how good the rest of your funnel is. 4 to 9 is a big variation. That's a wide gap. 20 to 40, that's up here at the top of our funnel, is a wide gap. So there's not really an average that we're able to nail down and say, this is what you should expect, because it varies so widely. The point here, I think, is to make sure that your top of funnel, everything that's going into your machine, is actually as well qualified as you can get it very early in the process. One example is one of our Odyssey members is Vietnamese speaking. When he's running his ads, he needs to have that out there up front, right? If there's enough of a Vietnamese speaking population to support his business wholly in Southern California, he should be able to run those ads so that when somebody speaks Vietnamese and they need ABA, that ad is in front of them. Because that's really the differentiator for his market, right? For where he stands out. Now, you might have something that makes you a specialty, a speech delay, whatever it might be, that kind of makes you a specialist for that area that you would want to market towards and have different keywords for. So, Reese, how do we figure out this top of funnel problem? How do we make sure on Meta or Google that we're going for the right person, that we're putting our ad in front of that right person to drive this number up?
Sure. Well, we'll talk about, I think, first thing I alluded to earlier, which is that in Facebook ads, it is critical to disable a feature called Advantage Plus targeting. This is a new rollout of Facebook where they're using AI to try and find your next best conversion. And the problem is that this AI does not differentiate well between an e-commerce or non-local business, where it doesn't really matter where they are as long as they're in the country. And a local business where it matters a lot where they are. It matters whether they're 10 minutes away or 40 minutes away, matters a lot. So one thing you have to do is disable that, which can be annoying because it's the default and they try to trick you with funny buttons and not turn it off. And in some accounts, even rolled out features where you actually can't. There are new accounts where you can't turn it off. Your option then is to actively exclude all areas that you're not in. So that what that looks like is excluding every state you're not in, and then excluding as many other parts of the state you are in that you don't want as you can on the map, which is very annoying. Hopefully someone over there, will get the message and they'll make things friendlier to local businesses.
I'll call Zuckerberg and let him know.
Oh, yeah, right. I tried to get through. I got the secretary didn't really want to hear from me, so yeah, I just got bounced back to support, and that didn't go so far. So yeah, that is a challenge. Most accounts don't have that rollout right now, where you only can do Advantage Plus. But if it does happen, at least we now have a way out, which is, so in Facebook, there's something called a custom audience. That means you have your own list of people you're putting in. When you put in a custom audience, they actually turn off Advantage Plus, even in these newer accounts. And we have lists now from third-party companies of like 40 million parents, things like that. So we actually now have a way using a third-party data to force Facebook to do what we want it to do, which is nice. So we have some tools. You have the right tools, you can deal with these things. So that's very important. And there has to be a big emphasis on just good ads, that the images and videos grab attention the right way, and then the text creates interest in the right sort of way, and then you get people engaged. That's very, very important.
So let's pause here for a second, because I want you to kind of explain the custom audience side of it. So the custom audience is the tool that's in Facebook or Meta, sorry. Get in trouble if Zuckerberg sees
switch it all the time.
So when you're building your custom audience, the audience refers to the people who your ads are going to be put in front of. And there's certain attributes, there's, those unseen, that metadata about those people, and all the stuff that the American people are very concerned about being taken from our phones, from our social media accounts, and used to persuade us to sell things to us, sometimes considered an invasion of privacy. That realm exists, whether you are taking advantage of it or being taken advantage of by it, right? So that is something that exists. And I don't personally believe that there's anything wrong with using those tools, especially when you're identifying a need of that person and providing them with a solution. So the custom audience is really the aggregation of all the data around a certain type of person, your ideal client profile, identifying who those people are, what their attributes are, where they hang out on the internet, and getting those ads in front of them. So tell us a little bit about how you can help in that situation and really give a good sample size, because 40 million parents is nothing to mess around with. That is a
decent number
list
of people. Yeah. So this is a more recent development, because it's hard to get access to this sort of data and import it to Facebook if you're not an enterprise company. And we're growing, but we're not like in the $500 million per year range just yet. So it's a little hard.
2026 goals. 2026.
Yeah, maybe 27. Yeah, but recently we did get access to quite a massive variety of custom audiences, which is very, very helpful. So we can import them into accounts. It's not the cheapest thing, but we do it. And it's interesting. We're just starting now to work with it. And the main thing that drew me to it is we now have a lot of flexible options We can market to parents of people who have younger children. Now, on Facebook also, there's a native ability to do that, but Facebook has very loose definitions of what these segments are, whereas these companies that are selling the data, that's their whole business. They sell data, they're going to do a better job. We even have segments now of people with commercial insurance, which is exciting. We're seeing right now, we're doing some experience to see if we now get clients from it for our people who work with us. That's very nice because Meta has traditionally been more of a Medicaid place. It's been a little hard to get the commercial insurance there, but if you can just target the commercial insurance people, that's great. I'm talking with a company that only takes TRICARE. That's their whole thing, just TRICARE. I have a military audience. Facebook has the military targeting too, but the third-party data is better. I have more people to target. So these tools are very useful. So it's interesting. The one very useful usage of these audiences is if you get saddled with an ad account in a current beta test Meta has, where they don't want you to turn off Advantage Plus targeting, which will ruin things for you, you can actually override that by pulling in custom audiences. So that's a nice thing. Yeah, it's a very interesting sort of new realm, and we're experimenting with it and seeing some audiences work really great. Some haven't worked yet, but we're still testing them in different places to see what will come of them. By the way, it's always good to have tools, especially because with Facebook, what it's trying to do is it's trying to find the next person most likely to take the action you're programming it to get people to take. So for example, if what we want people to do is, like I've spoken about, fill out a form, which is the most efficient way usually in Facebook to make this stuff happen. Whoever fills out a form in Facebook's, into the algorithm, that's a victory, whether they were qualified or not. Now, if you were not an AV therapy business, if you were any business that did not have to worry about HIPAA compliance, you can make things a lot better. You could use your CRM to feed data back to Facebook and tell it which leads are good and optimize that way. But you're not allowed to because of HIPAA compliance. So you have to now deal with the algorithm as is without having the full usage of all tools you'd love to use if you could just do whatever you wanted. So with Facebook, what you want to do is get the algorithm locked into the right people. And that's really tricky. And that's a partnership between whoever's running your ads and the people talking with your leads. So there's a feedback process and you can figure it out. Now, sometimes
Top of funnel, next rung down. Those people need to be talking. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's very important. Now, sometimes you just hit the gold vein and the clients keep coming and it's like you can't hire RPGs fast enough and BCs fast enough to keep up with that, and we see that. Sometimes Facebook gets the wrong sort of, they get the opposite of a gold vein, whatever that would be. And what do you have to do now? You have to reset the algorithm. Otherwise, it's going to keep doing what it's doing, giving the same result. So you have to know what tools to bring in to get Facebook to make, oh, wait, stop. Whatever we did before, we have to relearn. We're restarting our machine learning process. And that's how you then repair these things. So any tool you can use to give the machine learning something else to feed on gives you more flexibility and more options to pivot if things aren't exactly how you want them at first.
All right. So for our ABA owners that are established, they're putting their 10% retained earnings away. Their business is operating. They have their systems in place. They're a mature company. They've got one location, maybe two, or they've got a pretty well-scaled in-home service platform, and they're ready to go to the next level. They want to make sure that they stabilize their current incoming client flow, and then they want to start increasing that. So what is the starting point, revenue-wise, monthly spend-wise, to dive into this? Like, don't bother until you get to this point. And when you hit this point, you're ready to bring in somebody like Reese, or at least start with your marketing.
So we do get clients who are brand new and they literally are starting at zero. And now some of them are able to do that because they're backed by investment capital. Others do that because they're like, I need clients. I'm putting on a credit card, and that's that. We get that too. And we see people who have quit their jobs and they start their practice, and they take a calculated risk. It is a risk for sure, but they take a calculated risk. Okay, I've taken a calculated risk. I've quit being a BCBA. I don't have a salary anymore. Now I'm taking additional risk. I'm going to spend some money on this, which we see. So it just depends on your situation. For some people, they've got a BCBA coming on and they're going to be paying that salary, and they've got some couple attacks and training, and like, I'm gonna have that salary anyway, and I've got to find cases. So it depends on every business. I don't know if there's a rule for it. It depends on every business. But if you're going to use an agency to help you out with this, you're probably going to be in need of about $5,000 per month in funding to make it happen. And you'll probably want to commit to that for a 3 or 4 month run. So you should be thinking of in the 15 to 20K range to make it happen. What's nice about the whole thing is that what success looks like for your business is that you have clients on demand for a long time, really long time. And we get people see this for years, and they're just spending a lot. They're just like be spending 10 or 15 a month on ads, and it's growing huge, and never worrying about a shortage of clients. That's the ideal scenario. And again, there's a risk. So it's not like every single business will have that outcome. There are regional factors, competitive factors, there are insurance, your payer list also matters, the agency you take matters, a lot of things matter to how it goes. So it's a calculated risk. You have a fixed amount that you're going to put in there, and you might break even very quickly. You might become very profitable very quickly. You might lose it. It can go either way. So you just have to understand what the risks are and why. Like why you have to understand why, what am I trying to accomplish and what's actually necessary for it. So you're not wasting time like, oh, I'll boost my posts and then nothing happens and you still have a salary to pay. That's what you don't want. But at least you understand what it is, what your risk is, how to limit that risk, and understand what the possibly reward is, which thankfully is much bigger than the possible loss involved.
And no amount of money spent on top of funnel is going to translate to any new clients if the rest of your funnel stages under that are not at least established and well practiced. So if your intake process is awful and you're going to lose, 70% of your people during the intake, then you don't really want to start investing a bunch of money in the top of funnel. If your sales process is not good, if you're not calling leads back for 3 or 4 days after they've entered the top of your funnel, they're probably already going to find someone else. That's going to drastically reduce the number of conversions that you get there. So making sure that you have a good system, that you have a decently converting website, that you're set up and that you're ready for this is really where you want to have somebody who's an expert who can look at all those systems with you and make sure that you're actually prepared for this. There's a lot of companies that will do the Facebook, Meta ads, Google ads, marketing setups for you. There are not a lot of companies who understand how ABA actually works and what those different stages of the funnel are. So make sure that you got somebody, if it's not you, make sure you have somebody that can actually look at those stages and help you analyze those before you go dumping a bunch of money into the top of funnel. So one of my long-standing questions with any conversation about marketing is I know we have a wide range, 4 to 9%. We have at the bottom of funnel a wide range. The top of the funnel, we're losing between 20 and 40%. That's also a big range. So what's the range for customer acquisition cost? And for those of you who don't know what CAC or customer acquisition cost, it's the amount of money that you have to spend as a business to acquire a new client. So what's the range there look like these days?
The lowest I've ever seen is in the $300 range, which was really amazing, really, really special. I'd say a more normal range is like 1,000 to 1,500, something in that range, which isn't bad for APA, considering the case value.
What conditions existed for a $300 CAC? What was the special area with that?
Yeah, well, that was a very particularly satisfying client experience because they had me on the Facebook ads and they had someone else on the Google ads, and the Google is like 4 times more expensive. So I felt very good about that. But what kind of conditions? To go back my memory a few years, this was about 2 years ago. I can say from recollection that they certainly did have their intake process thought out, and they had quick follow-up. They took advantage of the marketing automation we provided them. So that certainly was helpful. And it also helps if you're in home taking Medicaid and you'll take any age that insurance will cover, that also helps. And that is that particular business model. So they were actually going sort of for broad geographical ranges, taking anybody essentially that they could, which helps. That helps you get more conversions because you're not pushing away as many people as someone who says, well, past age 12, forget it, or past age 5, no way. Or it has to, or if you're in center, it's understandable. If you have a center, you need 2 to 5 year olds. I get it. And that means anyone who comes in with an older child, you're sending away. So, these factors also matter.
So one of the things that I wanted to save to the end, because anybody who's stuck it out and watched this whole live stream is going to get a little icing on the cake here. So we're talking about our output side of our business for our marketing. So the clients are receiving the services from us. How can we use the same kind of strategy to attract the other humans on the input side of the business and generate leads or RBTs or BCBAs to input side?
Sure. BCBAs are quite challenging to get through either Meta or Google Ads. You tried it in different places. We had some success in getting them to reach out, but it's a hard one to do. So I think, again, Indeed obviously is the place that's most popular, and Indeed smart sourcing can be really effective. And these days, for better or worse, it's a numbers game in terms of the salary you offer. It matters a lot. So that's one where Google Ads and Meta Ads may not be the best suited thing for you. Having part of your SEO strategy devoted to BCBA positions in your area is a nice idea. You're not paying for the clicks, so you may as well have SEO optimized content about those job positions for the area, because someone's gonna come across it and apply for your job. That does happen. But the ads, you can do it. It's expensive on Google. You do on Google, it's expensive. I haven't seen the best results with it. On Facebook, I think just forget about it, because when you do a job ad on Facebook, they take away 95% of your targeting capabilities because they don't want to discriminate against different populations. So you cannot target people based on even their education level, and certainly not by virtue of their having BCBA certificate. Certificate. So that is not practical. Now with RBTs, there's more you can do, especially on Meta, because if you're willing to train people to become RBTs, then what do you need? You need people good with kids who are presentable and professional and don't have a criminal record. Those are the basics. They have a car, very basic stuff. It's the personality you need, the right personality that is trainable and teachable and loving and warm and will be nice with the kids. That you need. So you can do a lot with Facebook there. You'll have to sort through a lot of people. There'll be applicants who are not relevant, for sure. But yes, there is something you could do there as well.
Awesome. As always, Reese, it's a pleasure to get on and talk to you about this stuff and break it down in the context of specifically ABA. It's a real blessing to have you here on the ABA Impact team. So if people want to get a hold of you, how do they reach you if they want to get to work on this specifically in their business? What do they do to reach Reese and get your assistance in their business?
Sure. So go to reputationelevation.net, and you'll see there's a get started page, and you can book a time with me for a free consultation.
Awesome. Thank you, Reese. Once again, thank you everybody for joining. And again, reach out to Reese, reputationelevation.net. You can figure out where those stages are in your funnel that need a little bit of work on a strategy. Even if you're not ready now, at least engage and start moving towards that position where you are ready. And you put that on your plan of action, at least somewhere out in the future. And Reese can definitely help you do that. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you on the group. Reese, thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk with you and share with your audience. Thank you.
You're already doing the work, investing your time, your energy, and your vision. So let's make it count. Build something that works without breaking you. The EBCBA Blueprint is the way. Get started for free with our foundation course.